Welcome to the Intoxicated Podcast, a weekly comedy talk show that dives into the personal lives of comedians, experts, and creators. I'm your host, Sarah McClellan, a very amateur stand-up comedian and self-proclaimed sad girl. It's the comedy podcast with a lot of heart. Feel hard and talk hard. This is the Intoxicated Podcast. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it so that you can get off to dinner and then to the show. So, oh my gosh, guys, I am so excited to welcome a brand spanking new guest to the podcast. But she is someone like you are someone. I'm like saying she's here with me today. I've heard about her for quite a while, and I've seen you hang out with people I know, and so you've been on my radar. So when Claire was like, Bree Parsons is in town, and I was like, oh my God, yes, let's get her. So I'm so excited to welcome comedian Bree Parsons.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks.
Welcome. You're here. You've done some shows at Yuck Yucks.
Yeah, actually, oddly enough, it was my first time performing at a Yuck Yucks, which is so crazy because I've been doing comedy a long time, but our Yuck Yucks closed down like just when I started comedy. So I was like a regular like audience member at Yucks, but our club closed a few years ago, and so I just like never really got that experience. And I've been on the road a bunch and just like haven't gotten booked by them. So it was just so honestly, it was like it felt like a first that I should have accomplished a long time ago.
That's wild.
Yeah,
but makes sense, I guess, if you weren't around a Yucks for like a stable period of time.
Yeah,
You know?
our club closed, and honestly, it kind of allowed for this really interesting experience in Newfoundland because people started to like produce all their own shows and like different kinds of shows and really cool stuff. And like, so I got a lot of experience, but I, cut my teeth doing all of these like independent things.
Right.
Yeah.
Not like a club.
Yeah.
Because club feel is like, it's different. It feels like you have to be more well-rounded for a club. I've always seen it that way. And it's a little higher stakes, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. But did you have fun doing your two shows?
Yeah, I was opening up for Mike Lynch, and I love working with him. He's like someone I've watched, grow as I've been doing comedy too, and he's just so fun to work with. He's such a professional through and through, so it's like really fun to work with him.
Well, yeah, and it was just Mike Lynch, not Mike Lynch and Cecil O'Brien.
Oh right, you thought he was two people. That's so funny to me.
So I went to your second night last night, Saturday night, and so it was Cecil was the first, and then it was you, and then Mike. And the way that it had happened, I was like, because he does put on that character and he looks, I guess, the same, but also slightly different. Like I was just like, oh, who's Cecil O'Brien? And I'm like looking at like Instagram, like trying to find a handle, couldn't find him. And then Mike Lynch goes out and I was like, oh, like lots of strong accents with these two, but I guess they're both from Newfoundland. It makes sense. And then end of the show, like, someone in our group said something that tipped me off. I was like, wait, what? That was the same person? I feel like a fucking idiot, but that's wild. So he plays a character.
Yeah, but he has many. He's really impressive. Like he, during his show that he has called Getting to Know Me, I believe, he has, I think, 4 different characters, and he flat out just goes between all of them. So it's quite impressive, actually.
That is wild. That's wild. That was crazy. But like, yeah, we're like, I'm obviously so great to finally meet you too. Like, I feel like I've seen you bum around with like Matt Baker and like Nick Burden and stuff. And I've always seen your name pop up. And I was just like, I want to meet Bree sometime. So,
well,
so
I used to, when I first started, I ran a show in Newfoundland called Come From Away, where I would fly in a comic once a month. So I got to meet a lot of people, a lot of Canadian comics through that way. And just like, as soon as you get to Newfoundland, it's just a party, so I got to make a lot of friends that way, which was really nice. And kind of, I think, put me ahead a little bit because I got to make these connections so early on. So
that is really, really cool. Come from away. So you bring in someone who's like brand new to Newfoundland?
Yeah. So never been to Newfoundland. We'd fly them in for the weekend, and they'd do a couple of shows that are, because I was in a little like underground tapas bar. That was where we were making our show. And they were so good to us. They'd let us like take over for the weekends basically and make it a club.
That's amazing. And so you had your hand in production quite heavily in the Newfoundland scene. I have no idea about the Newfoundland comedy scene. So what is it like? Is there a lot of shows? Is there a lot of comics there? What's going on over there?
I think it's been super transitional. Like right before I started, we had the club, obviously. So that was like its own era. And then I was saying that like everyone was self-producing. So that's definitely how I got into it. I ran a couple different shows. I think that's just how I just hosted all the time. That's how I got anywhere half decent at this, It was just like always hosting and working that way. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of production, not so much anymore, but that was just like a really exciting way to like get opportunity for everyone and get to know everyone and, make yourself a part of that world.
And you're really like the heart and soul of a scene when you're producing.
Oh gosh, I wouldn't say that, but
you're at the core of it. You're
definitely getting to know everybody. And I think like, what I really think the heart and soul is not the showrunners, but the open mic runners, man. Those are the people who really put the work in. Yeah. Like that stuff can be so taxing and like it's so hard to do and nobody treats it with the like the respect it is. And it's always the like young blood, right? That like goes out and runs all those shows. And like right now in Newfoundland, there is absolutely nothing. We have one open mic right now run by a few comics. We're very grateful for that. But like, there's just nobody producing right now. Now it's just after COVID, of course. So maybe it'll pick back up and we'll get some more rooms on the go. But it's a slow place to work right now. Yeah, there's not a lot happening, unfortunately. Because we've got a lot of talent, a lot of good comics.
Not too much stage time, so you'd have to go kind of elsewhere to find that stage time, that is so challenging. Like not having access to shows. I can't even picture that because like in Halifax, there was always regular open mics. Mm-hmm. Always.
We used to too. We used to have 4 mics a week and lots of monthly pro shows and stuff. And it's a little bit flatlined right now, unfortunately. But, I'd say it'll pick back up. I feel like we need a new just like generation of people to come through and just like, do the work again.
You need a new class, like a new surge of comics to come in.
We're all tired, like we need some young blood for sure.
And so you've been doing comedy 5 years, but before that you were a flight attendant.
Yeah, I was a flight attendant for 7 years.
Oh my goodness. That must have given you a lot of material.
Honestly, it's so interesting because when you're in the thick of it, it's like one of those jobs. In my early 20s, it was absolutely fabulous. Like I was just getting to travel all over the place and I just seeing the world, which was awesome. But it never got glamorous. It's still just like cleaning up children's puke and
oh my God.
Delays and this and that and the other thing. The aviation is such a dirty industry and it's like so difficult and it's a young person's game for sure. Like I am like, because you have to wear high heels all day. You have to like, look a certain way still. Oh yeah.
Really?
Still. Oh, definitely. You need a doctor's note to get out of that shit.
What the fuck? What? If you don't, well, we can bleep it maybe.
No, it's okay. I'm not going to share, but yeah, no, it's honestly, it was like pretty crazy to be a part of an industry that still felt so dated.
Yeah, that's so fucking archaic.
The expectations of like being a flight crew member are so crazy. It's one of those industries that is truly the customer's always right. And I worked on smaller aircrafts that were like 50 people or under. So a lot of the time there was only just myself in the back. So you have no one else with you. You have no support, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, honestly, it was probably one of the craziest jobs. I really loved it for about 5 years. And then I got old and bitter. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because I imagine with flight attendant, like your sleep schedule is constantly changing. Like that must be tough to manage.
Yeah, I mean, when you're young, you can do anything, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, you could just do absolutely anything.
Oh my God, the days of the early 20s.
But honestly, I think it really actually helped my comedy career a lot because also I was able to fly for so cheap all around. So when I could take gigs that, you know, weren't in my province and stuff, that's rare to be able to do something like that. So I think it also kind of kicked me ahead in a really way that I'm super grateful for.
Oh, dang.
You know? Yeah, like.
Do you have a favorite place that you traveled to?
Like ever? Yeah, ever. When I did Asia for the first time, that was probably the craziest one for me. I had a friend who was getting married, so me and my girlfriend went over, and it was such a culture shock, you know, when you fly into just like Shanghai, it's still like, you know, there's people from all over the world there. It's, you know, very easy to adjust, but we went to a small village called Yangzhou. And we were like the first foreigners to ever visit.
Oh my gosh.
So all the elders like came out to meet us and everything. It was like super wild to experience that. Like they had literally never seen a white person.
Oh, holy smokes. And they were just curious about you.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool. But like, because we, you know, our friend had to kind of explain to them that like we were allowed to smoke and drink and we're not criminals just because we have tattoos and piercings. And like, it was interesting to just like see them adjust to that, which they did. By the end of it, like we were all playing games and they were teaching us how to play like different kinds of card games and stuff. And we just like had such an amazing time. We all sang karaoke together. Like,
oh my gosh.
But that was definitely the most drastic one. But my favorite place I've ever been that I could definitely like move to tomorrow would be Germany. I loved Germany. Like it was just, it's so warm and so welcoming. I think like a big part of it is they're like so proud of the like language and stuff. Like I speak French, but so I was like trying to learn German when I was living there, and you in French, if you say something to someone and you say it wrong, they basically just tell you to go fuck yourself and speak English to you. You know, like it's not, they don't care that you're trying to learn how to speak French.
Yeah, they're not forgiving.
No, not at all. Never. No. But like in Germany, they're so excited that you're learning German. They're like, oh, like, yeah, but this is how you say it. You know, like they're just, yeah, they're so inclusive and amazing. And I was staying in Frankfurt, and then I fell in love with a girl, so I followed her around for a bit. And, yeah,
it sounds like a movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you have any roots in Germany?
No,
like,
none at all.
No. Ah, interesting. I'm half German.
Are you?
Half German, half Scottish.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, I mean, every time I think of Germany, I just think of castles.
Oh, hell yeah. Have you spent time there?
No, I've never been.
Oh my God, you gotta
I've never been across the pond.
Wow.
Never.
All the best places are over there. You gotta go.
It seems that way. It seems like an amazing, I mean, I don't even know like where I would first go. Oh, actually I do. It would be Greece.
Oh yeah.
Greece is my number one. But Germany's up there too. Like I would love to see Germany.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Is it tough to navigate like as an English speaking person?
Not at all.
Oh,
everyone
sweet.
is so amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had no trouble at all. I met some of the nicest people. I still stay in contact with them. I'm so grateful for my time over there. Like, yeah. Whereas then I went in that same vein. I remember I was like, oh, I've got to see Paris, right? Like everyone's got to see Paris. It's the dirtiest fucking shithole I've ever been to.
I hear that it's like not all it's chalked up to be.
Oh man, 8 blocks of it is gorgeous, and then it is a legitimate shithole. Like I had such a bad experience there. I found it really sketchy to travel alone there, and I found it just like near the Eiffel Tower. Obviously that's beautiful, and like all the surrounding areas there. And then it was just, I remember I like took a wrong turn and I'm like walking down this little alleyway where they're like literally selling passports on the side of the road. And I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I have to get out of here. And I'm stood there like being a shitty tourist. Like I've got my big camera on and stuff, and I'm like just running. Like I'm like, I have to get out of here.
Shit. Yeah. Fuck. Wow. So where else have you been? So you've been to Germany, been to Paris, you've been to Asia.
Oh my, it's a big list to be honest. I mean, being a flight attendant, so you're kind of bopping all over the place all the time.
You're probably like in a lot of places for like a short amount of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever had any scary thing, like any scary plane experiences, like with like turbulence or like crash? I'm just gonna say it. Have you ever been in a plane crash?
I have not been in a plane crash. I have had every medical emergency you can think of.
Oh my god!
But however, I have never been in a plane crash. The scariest thing that happened to me was I had just started And on these like smaller aircrafts, there's a little door in the back for like commissary, right? They'd put the food up through, you throw the garbage out, that kind of stuff. And right before landing, that door opened while I was in my jump seat in the back. So basically the whole plane is shaking because it's just like thrown off kilter. And so I was so new, so I called up to the captain and I told him about it, and we all made a mistake that day, and he told me to close it. So I literally wrapped the seatbelt around my leg and got up and shut the door. And as soon as I did it, I was like, I shouldn't have done that. But you're just taking orders when you're so new, right? Like,
shit. So did stuff come out of the door?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we were really close to the ground, so like everything was fine.
Oh
Realistically, I should have just stayed in my fucking seat and stayed buckled, and we all would have been fine. But also there was a dog in the last row, so my heart was all nervous about this dog being in the last row.
You went into hero mode.
Yeah.
You did. I'm terrified of flying.
Are you? Oh, yeah. It is so safe. I know that doesn't make it sound safe, but it is so safe.
I despise it. I hate it. I will do it, but I will hate it the whole time.
Right.
I am like, the closer to the ground, I just go down rabbit holes with like missing planes and plane crashes and like the person who got sucked out of the plane in Hawaii. Like I know all of those stories.
You go through such hardcore training to be a flight attendant and pilot that like, I promise you're in safe hands. Like the amount of drills that they do to be where they are, like they are so capable. Like,
yeah. Do they train you for like hijacking?
Yeah, they train you for anything that could ever happen. Yeah, absolutely.
Literally any situation, like someone dying, plane crash.
And they do it every year. You have to redo everything every year. And yeah, it's like really intensive training that like you should always feel safe. Truly. They're so capable. Although I will say every now and then I get on an Air Canada flight and there's like some like nan, like 75-year-old woman as the flight attendant. And I'm like, okay. I'm curious as to how you would evacuate this aircraft, but good for you, man. They're killing it. Like,
damn, yeah, you'd need to have very quick reflexes and be very on your toes.
Well, even just to lift those doors, like they're like 75 pounds.
Oh shit! Seriously?
You know? Oh yeah, they're heavy. Like, and every year you have to train them, lift them out of the thing, throw them out of the aircraft, and like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but man, if Nan is still doing it, whatever. Who am I to judge?
It seems to be something that like a lot of people do. And like they're in it for life. Like a lot of people like just are a flight attendant. It's I remember they love the lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think it can be an addictive lifestyle. I really wanted to like have my feet on the ground for one moment. But yeah, I remember my last day I was like, I could not go to work a single day. Everyone keeps asking me if I miss it, and taking the switch to just pursuing comedy's been the best thing I've ever done. Like I'm so much happier. God damn. So you just decided I'm done with being a flight attendant and I'm gonna go full tilt comedy. Yeah, full time. I do a little day job, you know, like we all do to try to figure it out. But thankfully things are the ball feels like it's rolling now. You know?
Oh dang, that's awesome. Yeah, that's fucking A. And so okay, actually, I'm just gonna get right to the assumption segment. Because I have a couple assumptions about you that you kind of touched on already. So I just wrote hottie. You're a hottie. Because I creeped your Instagram and I was like, God damn, girl. You hot.
Listen, that Instagram's fake, okay? Like it is. I curate that. You know how hard everyone in my life works to make me look like that? Okay. So one of the assumptions that I wrote was that tons of people love you and always take pictures of you because I don't have fucking candid photos. Every picture of me I've taken of me or a professional photographer has taken of me. But you have so many cool pictures of just like you being cool and like you're gorgeous and stylish and you're just like posing, and those people have got to have been like, Bree, over here, right? Is that true or no? Oh, definitely
Tell me,
not.
Okay, defunct the
scoop
myth
is
here.
I do have lots of great friends. That's true. I'm so goddamn fortunate. I am rich with friendship. That is so true. They're the most amazing people in my life. But like they just like do the work for me, man. Like they are there. They take 45 of those photos before it goes to Instagram. And then we pick out which one. I'm the most basic white girl on the planet. Like we...
So it's it's not as casual as I might think.
No, it is a curated experience, my darling.
Curated.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, that kind of defunks the myth, but I did think that like a lot of people must love you. The other thing that I put in here, I'm going to try to phrase this the right way.
Ooh.
Because
You're going to get spicy on me. Okay.
Well, like I wrote it down and then I realized I was like, oh, I think it's just because she said she was bisexual. But I wrote like my initial thought was you're a guy's girl, but you're also a girl's girl. Like you can hang with girlies and have girly hangs, but I feel like you also fit in with dudes really well.
Dude, I've got it for you here. So I actually, to be honest with you, struggled with my femininity my whole life.
Really?
It's something that I always wanted to be a part of the boys club. Anything that was male dominated, I wanted to have a piece of. Like, yeah. There was something about that I was like, anything you can do, I can do bleeding. You know what I mean? Like I really wanted to just like
say that again.
Anything you can do, I can do bleeding. Like I just wanted to conquer everything that men have and did. But I wanted to be in the boys club all the time, right? It happened in comedy and my whole life. So I think at the first portion of my life, I definitely was just like a little bit phony. You know, I really wanted to be with the guys, so I said what I had to say and laughed things off I shouldn't have, and just like did the work to be the girl that was
the guys
cool
liked.
with all the guys, right? But I kind of had a revelation that I really don't care if they like me anymore. It's been a wild ride.
I love that.
I've really started to branch out and be a bit more honest with myself about what I like, and like, because I would deprive myself of like, I never watched like anything that I considered to be too feminine. Like I never watched Sex in the City, and I remember I met my husband now, and he was like, "What the fuck do you mean you've never watched Sex in the City? We're sitting down and doing it immediately." Like I just never really allowed myself to enjoy anything I thought was too girly, because I didn't want to be a part of that. I wanted to be the girl in with the guys, and honestly, it thankfully is not so important to me anymore. And since then, I've got all these amazing women and non-binary people in my life. Like I've really opened up, and it is a whole new world. And I feel like I have now the most support and the most honest relationships with my friends that I could ever ask for. Fuck
yeah, ding that bell. That means that's a hell yeah moment. That means that's a hell yeah bell. That's amazing. So you were just like, I'm just going to be my authentic self and surround myself with people who get it.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, it took lots of therapy, but yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh, so you've been in therapy.
Yeah.
And you're not even 30.
I'm not 30. I'm 28. This month I'll be 28.
So you're youngin' still, and you've already been through therapy.
Yeah.
Have you graduated therapy? Or are you in it still?
No, I still consider myself new to it. I lost my dad a few months ago, and that really kicked in.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay, you know, that stuff happens, and that really kicked in overdrive. So now I'm like going quite frequently, but it's like, oh God, is it ever the best thing to ever happen to me?
I truly, I think Camila Cabello came out with a quote recently that was just like, my life was so painful before I was in therapy. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's just a common thing I hear from people, which is like, it's life changing essentially.
It's so cheesy, but like I remember telling all my friends all the time, like, oh, everyone should go to therapy, but I wasn't.
That's me.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, everyone should always go to therapy. And then I actually started to go, and I was like, oh yeah, this is correct. I've never been more right about something. Like it is just so therapeutic and so cathartic, and just like it just gets the fucking job done. Like,
oh goddamn,
I feel so much cleaner up here. You know?
Did you have a therapist? This is what I always wonder, because like I have high standards for therapy because I've done so much self work on my own and so much research and being my own therapist or whatever. So I have very like I would not want a therapist that was just like, just talk and I'll listen. Like I'm like, no, give me exercises, give me homework, give me, you know what I mean? Like I want an active therapist.
Honestly, I got really lucky. A lot of my friends are in therapy, and they recommended me to this man. And I just, besides the fact that he's a little bit too hot, I could.
Oh no!
Yeah, he's really hot. It's like every now and then he's just listening, and I'm like, stop it. What are we?
He like cares about your emotional well-being.
And I'm like, I can't be the statistic that falls in love with their therapist, you know? Like, I just can't be that. But no, besides that, he's so good at his job. And I remember the first session I sat down with him and I was like crying before I sat down. And he's like, what are you crying about? And I'm like, I fucking don't know. Hoping you can tell me. But no, he's really good, I gotta say.
Oh, God damn. Well, that's really good to hear. Because you do hear of people who take, number one, it's so much to just like take that first step to do it. Mm-hmm. And then it's also hard to find someone you click with.
Yeah, I think I got lucky.
You got very lucky. Mm. I love how you said that you cried right away.
I wasn't even in the chair yet.
It's kind of like when you're like, when someone you care about asks you what's wrong and like, you're just like,
and like the first session is so funny because they're just trying to do the groundwork and find out like who you are. And like, so they're like, okay, like, how do you sleep? What do you eat? Do you take drugs? Do you drink alcohol?
They're trying to get a picture. Yeah.
And then like you answer all those questions right in a row and you're like, oh, wow, I'm a pile of garbage. That shit does not look good on paper. One after another like that. Like
that was me. I had a 2-hour Zoom call psych assessment and it was just like, I was just like, oh boy, there's a lot of questions that my answers. I remember at one point I just went, I think I'm nailing it. Am I nailing it? Because I was trying to get an ADHD diagnosis, and I had come with like a list of symptoms that I always have, and I was just like, I think I'm gonna get it. It was like, I think I'm gonna get it. I think I'm gonna pass the ADHD test. And then I got also diagnosed with anxiety, so I kind of did too good.
That's one way to look at it.
I passed too well. So that's so interesting. Yeah. And then I also said underneath that is that you just fit in well with male comics. They like hanging out with you. You hang out with male comics. They enjoy your presence.
I've got a lot of male comic friends, definitely. I think honestly, some of the best advice I got when I started comedy was just like be nice and have fun. And that's kind of what I've tried to do. I've tried to keep my head down and just do my time. And there's problems to that. That gets problematic sometimes. You end up ignoring some things that you should speak up about. But comedy is for me, and I think like so much of the time it's all about the community, but the reality is this is a solo act and we're all just trying to get it, and if it takes I'm not sure, I definitely like so many of the comics I absolutely adore are men, and I'm glad I get along with them, but yeah, it's just kind of, it is a solo experience.
It's a solo art.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's weird, but it is for this, like, it's strange to have something that is so solo, but like community is such a focus of it.
Definitely. Absolutely.
It's a weird thing to navigate. Like, when do you step back? When do you step in? When do you take a break? Like, it's strange. And I also think a lot of times people get sucked into like the social aspect of comedy. Like,
it's honestly, even just like being on the road, it's like, it's hard to just treat it like a job. I find I just like, it kind of gets, at least for me, like I end up treating it like a party more than anything. You show up to a new city, you make new friends, you go drinking. I end up spending the money I made on that show anyways on booze and food and, just having these experiences with these people, which is like valuable in and of itself. And I'm thankful for that. But yeah, it's hard to treat it like a job because it definitely is like we all feed off each other, and we benefit from knowing each other.
It's true. And that's so funny that you said that. Because one of my other assumptions, this is my last assumption, I wrote down, and I think that this is a combination of just knowing that you've toured a lot of places and also knowing you're from Newfoundland. You have some insane road stories, I can imagine.
I mean, definitely travel stories for sure, but I feel like road stories are different. Like I've only been on a few tours so far. I was really lucky. When I first started, a comedian from Newfoundland named John Sheehan, who is just salt of the earth, such a good man, such a funny comic. And he has this knack for really believing in people when they first start. And he took me on the road pretty much immediately. And I was so fortunate to kind of like get to see him do his thing and just like understand what it was to be on the road. And he's such a professional through and through.
Oh, dang.
And then my next tour, I toured with Scott Belford, who
Yes.
I adore.
Nice.
And that was my first time being like, oh, like it was so much time in the car together and just like talking comedy. And it was like my first time experiencing that like road dog lifestyle. It was my first time touring Canada, and just like it was so fun. And you get this fear, especially from being somewhere so localized like Newfoundland. I was like, oh, I'm like Newfoundland funny. Like I'm funny because my friends come out to see me and they love me, so they have to think I'm funny. But like, so I remember being on the airplane on the ride over to Alberta, where I was meeting Scott, and just being like, oh God, like they just picked the wrong guy, you know, like you get this imposter syndrome. And but then, you know, I got to travel and I had some of the best shows I've ever had on that tour.
Oh, God damn.
And I was just like so excited to like feel like I don't know if a real comic is the way to say it, but that's how I feel. You know,
well,
finally,
it's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
To like do shows like outside of your own city.
Yeah.
And to like just show up to have a fresh slate.
One thing that's really funny that happens to me all the time is I have this joke where I talk about you know, the woman's washroom is the nicest place on the planet, right? And the end of the joke is talking about how women offer you cocaine in the bathroom, right? So every time I'm on tour, everywhere I go, like literally women are just offering me key bumps in the bathroom. And I'm like, no, guys, it's a joke.
It's a joke, not an encouragement.
Yeah, like
you don't have to live up to it that much. That's so funny that you say that, because I literally picture you as somebody who's the very nice bathroom friend who like comforts people and stuff. Is that true?
Oh,
Or are you
definitely.
that like if someone's crying, you're gonna go comfort them?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I remember when I first started seeing my partner, he was always so frustrated with me because we'd be like at a party or like at a club somewhere, and he'd be like, you have been gone for 45 minutes. And I'm like, you don't understand. Her boyfriend's a total dick. She's gonna stay with us for a couple of days. Like,
we're just gonna pay off her loans.
Yeah.
Like it's no big deal. Just helping a stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume that you're delightful with strangers.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, that's Newfoundland. So like that Newfoundland perspective of like they're very nice, welcoming people. They're, you know.
Yeah, you know, and I do think majority of people, I have a lot of great experience living in Newfoundland, and I do think everyone is so kind by nature, but also they're kind of vicious when it comes to like, I find it like the keyboard warrior situation. Like I'm always on the like, I'm a big news person. So like I'll like look at the news in the morning, and just like the comments are so vicious that I'm like, who are you? Like, why are you so angry? And I just think like they're a very opinionated bunch as well.
Opinionated. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Because the impression that I took away from visiting there and being close friends with someone from there is that like, they're very nice. They're partiers. They'll drink you under the table. But the thing that I got when I went was just the need to kind of be to get their approval as a mainlander.
Interesting.
like they're like, we love you, but you're still a mainlander. Like you're not one of us yet.
Yeah, Newfoundland is wild. We like, yeah, why do we make you feel like you have to fit in? We're like, yeah, you have to make out with that cod and take a shot of this shitty fucking Jamaican screech to fit in with us. And you do it. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with all of you.
We want your approval. We want to fit in with you cool people. But I think specifically I've heard from a lot of people about like where's the funniest place in Canada, and a lot of people say Newfoundland.
Oh, it is so built on storytelling.
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, it is like, it's especially like the older generation. I find like it is all like sitting in the kitchen surrounded by like one person speaking, and everyone just like listening to someone tell a story. Now, do they lie and do they exaggerate? Absolutely. We all do. It is listening to that story. It's like, it simply couldn't have happened that way. And then like you listen to your pop tell the same story 3 years down the road, and it's like, oh yeah, last time that was 3 people and now it's 8. Okay, good. You know, but no, they are great storytellers. I think that's where the humor comes from for sure.
It's like entrenched in your culture.
Yeah.
And it's almost like an everyday thing for like everyone there to be kind of funny.
Oh, that's nice.
So like you guys are like the true comedians, even though like not all of them might do stand up, but so those are my assumptions about you. I think I did pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
I think I did pretty decent. I want to ask you about your lovely relationship, because I creeped your Instagram And what beautiful wedding photos and couple photos you have. You're married.
I'm married. Yeah, he's the best. He's the best.
And gorgeous wedding.
Thank you.
Oh my God, stunning.
My husband is very much into like interior design, and like he's the kind of guy, like he's the reason my home is beautiful.
Oh,
like
nice.
He picks out everything. He has such a good eye for everything. Like he'll pick out a beautiful painting and it'll go up on the wall, and I'll be like, "Hey, I found this rock on the beach. Can I keep it?" Like I just don't have the eye for beauty like he does, but he is the reason it looked that way for sure. Like it is just, yeah, he's so good at that kind of stuff.
So how did you hook this guy? How'd you meet?
We met at a party I threw on New Year's Eve many moons ago, and I had a partner at the time.
Oh,
yeah, I had a partner at the time who I was in love with for many years. Actually, it's like he was my best friend, just the love of my life, and it was so strange to end up having feelings for someone else.
Right.
And, I honestly, I made a lot of mistakes under that road I met my husband on New Year's Eve, and I broke up with my partner of many years about 2 weeks after. And I proposed to him after 4 months.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whirlwind romance.
Yeah. And, everyone's like, "You're nuts." And I'm like, absolutely. I totally feel like I'm being nuts. I feel manic and I feel crazy. But, I think that's not always a bad thing.
No, I think the stereotypical thing is to go to, it's moving too fast, so it won't last. But I feel like it's like so many times it's like, maybe it will. That's not always right. It's just like when people say, "Oh, high school sweethearts that stay together forever, they're not going to last." Like, they might. Like it's just like to think that we can make predictions of. I mean, there's
no fucking rules.
There's no rules.
There's no rules, and I proposed to him in the Grand Canyon, actually, in Vegas.
So you propose? Okay.
Yeah.
So okay. I have a lot to process right now because you had mentioned in the form that you grew up religious.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't religious, but I grew up in a house that was religious.
And so proposing to the guy that's a
I don't know,
unconventional thing.
Again, though, listen, it's that power. It's the like anything that's considered masculine. Give that shit to me. I want it. I want that power.
And you know what? Like I do think. Like speaking to the energy, masculine, feminine energy, a lot of like female, just to do comedy as a female, it's quite masculine. Like to get up on stage and go, "Listen to me, like I'm speaking. Shut the fuck up, listen." So that's interesting. So how did you? Okay, I want to know about the proposal. What did you do?
Yeah, so we got a helicopter into the Grand Canyon, and. So
just a casual helicopter.
I'm not rich. I just like to spend what little garbage money I make on luxurious things.
Was this a private helicopter or like a situation
where other people in the helicopter?
Okay, so it was like a tour.
A tour.
Okay,
yeah.
got you.
So we get in the helicopter, and myself and Brandon are up front, and I was in aviation my whole life, my whole adult life at that point. So I'm just like talking with the pilot, and we're just like blasting off about airplanes and whatever. And I look over and Brandon is like fucking so white. And he's just like looking at his shoes. And I was like, "Hon, are you okay? Like, are you going to be sick?" And I was thinking in my head, like, "Dude, if he gets fucking sick, I'm not going to do it. It's not the right time." Right. So anyways, he's like, "I'm having a fine time. I just can't look up. I'm like so motion sick." And I'm like, "Okay." So we end up landing in the Grand Canyon, and like they have these little picnics set up for us, and there's like champagne and food and everything. So after like a little while, he was like starting to feel okay. So I asked the pilot to take a picture of us, and when he did, I proposed. And it's so funny. Brandon is like such a drama queen, right? So like 2 days before we were at H&M, and he was like, "I think I'm gonna be a ring guy," and he like bought this pack of 3 shitty rings from H&M. So at the time he was wearing this like garbage $2 H&M ring on his finger, and he took the ring, said yes, obviously, and then as like a flare decided he was going to throw the ring he took off his finger into the Grand Canyon. But however, the photos represent me, not the ones I posted online because that's curated.
Yes.
But the photos that happened first were of me thinking that he just took the very expensive ring I just gave him and threw it into the Grand Canyon. So literally the photos are of me losing it because I was like, you could have just fucking said no. Like,
my God.
But then obviously put the ring on and those were the nicer
And what
pictures.
was the reaction to you proposing to him?
Oh, actually, so we were on tour. There was two different couples there, like one really older couple and one young gay couple. And they were so sweet and they were like celebrating us and everything. And the other couple was like, the like old lady was like, no, I swear, I think it was her that did it. Yes, I seen her on her knee over there.
But I'm like, we've never seen this before. That is precious. So truly you proposed to him and that was it. You were engaged.
Yeah.
My God, I love it. Whitney Cummings is thinking about proposing to her boyfriend. She talks about in her jokes.
Oh, fun.
About how like she wants, you know what? I support this. I say, fuck it. Fuck the fucking standards we grew up with.
I know, right?
Right?
Yeah, and like I one thing I struggled with is I really didn't want to change my name. So
yes, okay.
So I didn't do it, obviously.
Right. Masculine thing to do.
Didn't want to.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. So myself and my husband were both bisexual. So I was like, talking about this so much, and I was just like, he really wanted a family name. That was his argument, and we discussed it for a long time, and it was kind of argument after argument. And he was like, oh, it's like the one traditional thing that I have that I'm holding on to. And I just knew I didn't want to do it. I had my mom's last name. My mom has her, there was something precious about it to me. And also I'm trying to make a name for myself in comedy. I really didn't want to change it at all.
Yeah.
So anyways, we were sat down at dinner one day and I was like, I got to ask you a question. Like, if you were marrying a man, would you consider taking his last name? Right?
Yeah.
Because he had said before, like, I was like, well, if you want a family name, just take mine. Right. But he didn't want to do that, of course. And I get it. I didn't want to change mine either. I was like, if you were marrying a man, would you change your last name? And he thought about it for a second and he was like, wow, yeah, that's some deep-seated fucking misogyny. Like,
right.
He's like, yeah, I would consider it. So that was kind of the nail in the coffin. And we just like, he never pushed it again. So.
God damn. Yeah. Interesting. Hey, you challenged him.
Oh yeah. He challenges me too though. He's very feminine. Right. So we have this like, gender opposite thing happening in our marriage, and it makes for interesting challenges.
But it also seems very lovely. Like you compliment each other.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. My God, that's so cute. So you literally were engaged after 4 months.
Mm-hmm. Wow. No doubt an insane thing to do. I don't entirely recommend it. It worked out for me, but
wow. So you went from who you thought was the love of your life to the new love of your life.
Definitely.
In a very short time.
Like I'm someone who like, I love hard and I love forever. And I still have a lot of love for anyone I've ever been with.
Right.
But like specifically my ex-partner, he was also a comic and really taught me a lot and just like, was my best friend.
Yeah.
So it's always sad sometimes, but also it's like, it wasn't meant to be,
Oh, goodness, great. Are you on good terms still? Not so much.
Not exactly.
Well,
someday maybe.
Do you want to know what? Like I'm someone who also had that person and got left for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And for many years I was like very resentful. Mm-hmm. And then there just comes a time where you're just like, I just wasn't it for that person. Mm-hmm. And the timing was garbage. True garbage timing, and like the timing could have been better, but it just is what it is. And like they have their person, and it was similar in that he ended up marrying the girl.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
The girl that he left me for. But now I just go like, I'm so happy that you found the person who works for you, because we weren't really working anyways.
Yeah.
So like it was a shitty way for it to end, but it was probably going to end anyway.
Yeah.
So like, why not rip the Band-Aid off versus like slowly pulling it?
Yeah, there you go.
Do you know what I mean? So like you never know. Like maybe they'll come around to that moment. That's a tough thing, but like I'm so happy for you. That's so wonderful that you found like your person.
Yeah, he's the best.
And you're monogamous?
How thrilled he'd be with me on this.
We can skip over that question if it's too personal. I was just curious.
I don't think any gay is monogamous. I'll just say that.
Well, that's kind of what I thought too, but I didn't want to make an assumption. I was like, I'm gonna fucking clarify. I don't know. I feel like it's rare for anyone to be at this point.
He's kind of a private person, so I think we'll leave it there. But he's I just think it's kind of the best of both worlds, and he's so respectful, and
you make it work.
Have your cake and eat it too.
Have your cake and eat it too, baby. Were you a bridezilla?
Oh no, I don't think so. I had one moment. I was sad for one single moment. And that was, I hadn't had my dress on for a few months when it happened. And then so about 10 minutes before the wedding, because I'm a mess and I was having mimosas and eating croissants and shit. So I didn't put it on until like a few minutes before I was supposed to go out the door. And I actually got my dress handmade for me by a woman in town. So named Megan Sully. She does great work.
It's a gorgeous dress. I mean, your fucking wedding photos are fucking gorgeous.
But we couldn't get me in it. I couldn't get in the dress. So I call her crying. And this was my one moment. I was like, we can't figure it out. We can't get me into this. And so she literally dropped everything, showed up at the door like within 5 minutes and got me in the dress. Jimmy did however she did. I worked her magic and got me in the dress. Like literally her youngsters in the car, like she just threw herself and came to me and got me in it. But yeah, that was my one moment where like the photographer's trying to take like pictures behind me. And I'm like, can you not? Like I was like in tears because I just couldn't get my body in it. But anyway, she made it work.
So things worked out in the end.
Yeah.
That must have been. Did you cry before or after any makeup?
It was after makeup, but that was fine. Yeah, it worked out.
That's the worst feeling, I gotta say, when you're wildly in love with a dress and then it really won't come on. I had a birthday where that happened. And luckily enough, I'm high maintenance, so I had a backup dress ready. I did. But like there's a classic photo of me laying on the ground while other like my friends are trying to zip the zipper up. Actually, no. I think it did have to do with not fitting, but the zipper was stuck. Mm-hmm. Like it was like we were trying to get it up and then it got stuck and I couldn't get the zipper up. And there's this like photo of like 4 friends of mine trying to get this zipper up. And I'm just like, fucking Christ, the stuff we put ourselves through is insane.
Yeah, I was really lucky that she came to my rescue. So that was my only moment that I really felt like I was like out of control, lost control of my emotions.
And you got married in Newfoundland?
Yeah, we got married in Newfoundland at a golf course. It was lovely. And oh my God, my mom... So as I said, I lost my dad a little while ago, and my mom said the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard. We're just about to enter the room, and everyone's gonna stand, and I'm just about to walk down the aisle, and my mom is standing next to me, and she picked out this beautiful dress like months before my dad passed, and right before we're going down the aisle, my mom's walking me, and she looks at me and she goes, "Fuck!" I was like, "What?" And she's like, "I'm dressed like a fucking widow." She has this black dress on, and I literally she starts uncontrollably laughing right outside the door, and I was like, "Oh my God, Mom!" Like
she's on the way to a funeral.
Yeah, I was not like, "No, wedding. You're not. You look beautiful," but yeah. So I'm like, as I was entering, like holding back laughter.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And was your wedding like everything you wanted it to be?
Oh yeah, it was such a big party. We didn't really invite much family, and it was just all of our friends, and it was just it was just a big, beautiful,
so cool
love party.
Beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, icon, legend, star. Love it. So I want to touch on the childhood. So you grew up with some conflicting
energies is conflicting a nice energies. Way to say it.
Yeah. What's this about?
So, I'm an only child, but my mom met my stepfather when I was 5, and then we moved in with their family. So my mom is this like blessed little angel stoner, just like just a little saint,
hippie? Little hippie-ish?
Yeah, a little hippie.
Love it.
And then we move in with his family, and he has 2 daughters, and one of them is like a hardcore Pentecost. And so, I just grew up from a really young age with these like 2 really conflicting sides of my family, and just really struggling with the religious side of it because I just, everything that I was being told was like, okay, you're going to hell. You're a bad person. You're going to hell, and just like trying to understand that as a young child is really heavy.
Did that come out of any choices you made that they didn't approve of, or were you just automatically by default going to hell?
Well, in the Pentecost religion, it's just like so many things are deemed evil. Like, we couldn't play playing cards, we couldn't drink alcohol, we couldn't, so there was just so much of it that seemed basic to everyone else, but also I came out at a really young age. I came out at about 12 years old.
12.
Yeah. Wow. I just always knew. And I was really fortunate because my mom was like super accepting, and she didn't even really make me tell her, to be honest with you. I didn't even really have to say the words. I brought home girls at points in my life, and she didn't make me feel weird about that at all. Yeah. So it was like a coming out by action.
Not so much.
I didn't sit them all down and be like, hey guys, but it was, this is my girlfriend from such a young age, and they didn't bat an eye, honestly. It was,
oh, that's wonderful.
But, my other sister, obviously that's completely against everything she believes. So that's a tough one. So
was the stepfather also religious?
Yes, but in a more relaxed and accepting way. Yeah, we definitely had our struggles. But yeah, no, he was much more accepting of everybody. Yeah, it was that. And so I started going to church with her at a young age because I figured there was something wrong with me. And
oh my gosh.
And I don't know how much you know about the Pentecostal church, but they're the ones that speak in tongues and cry and fall down and the whole kit and caboodle.
Oh, goodness gracious. That's crazy.
So it's pretty shocking to be exposed to that at a young age because nobody explains it to you. Like, I don't know why people are falling down around me. And when you're a kid, you're just kind of trying to fit in and whatever. Like, I remember my mom was like, you're not going back there, because I just emulated them one day. Like, I was like, everyone would line up at the front and the pastor would come around and he would like put his hand on your forehead and he would just be like talking in tongues, and then they would shake and they would fall to the ground.
Holy
and then
crap.
A little old lady would come over and put a little purple blanket over you, and you would be like down on the ground for like several minutes, overcome by the Holy Spirit. And I was kind of like a child, and I was standing up there with them, and I was like, okay, I guess this is how you church. So
did you do it?
I did it, but like only like
kind of faking
phony. Yeah. Like I was a kid. I was just playing along, and not understanding like the gravity of it all. And I remember we went back and my sister told my mom that I had been overcome by the Holy Spirit. And my mom's like, you're not fucking going back there. Like, cause it was making me feel like, that I just like wasn't a good person at such a young age.
That is crazy. And just for doing basic things that like.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Everyone makes mistakes growing up, and like.
Yeah, how dare you play with cards?
Yeah, really.
Bree, Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
What were you thinking?
Yeah. But
so did you have a moment of, I'm curious to know, like a moment of like, fuck this, I'm done? Because I grew up Catholic.
Oh, that's a tough one.
And I was the first in my family to say, I no longer want to go to church every Sunday.
Right.
And it was a big fucking deal for me to like take the stand to go, like, I no longer want to participate in this family ritual kind of thing.
It was always a choice for me in my house. I was never forced.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
okay.
I was never forced. My sister obviously really, really always wanted me to be involved. And in some ways, like, I get it, like they are a big community. Like, do I think it's a little culty? Yeah, for sure. But that's what I think,
Right.
like, what she thinks is her business. And so I always had a choice. So I don't think it was as dramatic for me, because at some point I just decided it wasn't what I wanted, and that was okay.
But you still had been exposed to it in such a way.
Yeah, definitely. The talking in tongues thing is crazy. To me, it sounds very satanic.
What
like,
what does it sound like?
I cannot emulate it because
it obviously doesn't sound like English.
No, it is. It's quite literally. I once asked her like about it, and she said it's a language that is just between you and God. That's the only two people that understand, yourself and God. And it is quite literally. It sounds like just absolute gibberish. Like if you were to like fake a language, that's what it would sound like.
So I sleep talk.
Interesting, yeah.
And I record it. And I
Ooh.
also have night terrors. So there's a lot of recordings like on a weekly basis of me trembling and being scared at night, which is crazy. There was one recording that like I was like literally it was pure gibberish. And it sounded like it sounded ancient.
Right.
And it really freaked me out. I was just like, is something coming over me that's like from another time? Like, what's going on? But like, when I heard that, I was like, is that tongues? Like, was I speaking in tongues? Like, what's going on? But yeah, it's fucking scary.
Yeah, it can be scary. I remember being really young and like I watched an episode of CSI Miami where the person like thought they were talking to God, which my sister often also did, like think God was talking to her. And so I was like, oh, like my sister, she's gonna kill us all. Like I remember like being so afraid, like being like there's something like
taking over.
Yeah, like that to me sounds scary, you know? And so I started to fear it a little bit at a young age because it was so intense.
Yeah. It's just like, what the fuck's like, this shouldn't be what religion is. It should be, I mean, I actually don't know what it should be. Are you someone like, did you kind of take anything with you from that was like positive in your life, like going forward, or were you just like, no, I'm done?
Honestly, like, I would like to say I'm spiritual, but I'm not. I don't think I really took any values from it other than like your basics, you know, like obviously I try to be a good person and I try to treat people the way I want to be treated. And like,
yeah.
If anything, like the values that I took more align with like Buddhism or something like that. But
lovely.
Again, it's not something I practice. Like it's not something I actively seek. I honestly really wish I could be a little bit better at like meditation or something like that because it seems very peaceful.
It seems like it would be a nice thing to embrace like in daily life, but like it's almost like you need to have a lifestyle that would support that. Mm-hmm. And not everyone does. Like, not everyone has the free time to like.
Oh, dude, I
invest.
think everyone does. We just don't. Like,
we just don't. That's so true.
I remember like
we don't make the time.
Yeah, I remember being like, oh, if I just had the time, I would like definitely exercise. And then the pandemic hit, and I just took edibles for months at a time. Like, it's not the time. I have the time.
You have the time. You
choose to be a piece of shit.
That's right. It's just easy to make other choices.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's just tough to like establish routines. Are you someone who has like a lot of like routines? Are you good at like keeping your life together?
No. No.
Perfect.
No, I think being a flight attendant for so long where there was no schedule, no method to the madness, that started me off. And then, you know, then I'm a server / comedian. Like there's no method to that madness either. You're on the road all the time. Like I've never lived a 9-to-5 existence where I could possibly have a routine.
Right.
And, you know, I'm a bit of a partier, so that doesn't allow for much scheduling.
You are currently, wait until you're in your mid-30s.
Oh, you think that's where I'm going to hit the peak? I dread to see that.
35, baby, is like a hard age. Tolerance. Well, actually, I shouldn't say shit. I hardly drank during the pandemic, and that's what took down my tolerance. But now I can get drunk off of like three drinks.
Honestly, I wish I drank a little less. I feel like Newfoundland culture is like so drinking heavy.
It is,
and you know, there's not much to do there besides drink. And then you just end up. Yeah, it's such a big part of my life, and not in like I mean, knock on wood, but like not in an alcoholism way, but just in it's a big part of my life.
It is for sure.
Yeah.
Can I ask you? Okay, so I always wonder this about people who are people who partake in booze. Have you ever done comedy drunk?
To be honest, I have probably one or two before I go on stage almost every time.
Oh, that's not drunk though.
Yeah,
that's
but I've never been. Actually, you know what? That's a lie. When I used to run a show in St. John's called Cocktail Comedy, where we would literally it was like in like this beautiful 5-star like boutique hotel, and everyone would wear literal ball gowns. It was so nuts. It was awesome.
What?
Yeah, it was.
Oh my god,
it was such a good time. Just something different to do, right?
That's so different.
And like, you know, we had a free bar tab for everybody. So like I would always host. So by the end of the show, I think I would definitely consider myself drunk.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that a weird experience?
I mean, again, like in Newfoundland, the people that come see you all the time, I think there's such a pressure. The reason there's such like a pressure to be constantly writing in Newfoundland is because the same people come see you all the time.
It's regulars.
It's a small place.
Oh boy.
So everybody comes to see everything all the time. And so you feel this pressure to like create new content constantly.
Yeah.
But so because it's like the same people, you kind of become friends with them, and it's a little more leisurely than it would be to like for me to show up in Halifax today and do a show drunk. Like that would be embarrassing for me.
Right.
Yeah, no, I definitely have at least one. I'm just so nervous. I am the epitome of a nervous comic.
I did not see that at all last night.
Well, no, as soon as I take the mic, I'm fine. But before I get there, like my head is in the toilet. Like I throw up almost before every single show. Oh, okay. Definitely.
Because I was watching. I will admit, like I was observing what you do because I have a yuck show coming up in a couple weeks there. And I'm just like, like, what do I do? Like, do I bring a set list up? Do I not? Like, do I bring a drink up? Do I not? And so I was watching you, and I did notice that you went to the bathroom just before your set, and I assumed nervous pee because I have to nervous pee before every single set, and I'm talking like I wait till the comic before me is up, and then I go. Because it's just like I nervous pee like 5 times before every set.
Yeah, I've never been able to shake it. And you know what? I don't feel like mentally I'm insecure about it. Like I feel like I'm doing good at what I'm doing.
Yeah, you are.
But my body's like, oh, you're sure you're not being poisoned? Like I feel so sick before I get up and take the mic. And that's getting better. It's lessening a little bit as the years go on, but like not entirely. You know, I get so nervous.
But you know yourself at this point, you know, it's you just kind of, you're like, this is happening and this is what I'm used to.
As soon as I step out, I'm fine. So yeah. It's just before,
it's just the before. It's oh God, the waiting to go up is the worst.
But in that same breath, I hate going first. So it's like, I want to wait, but not too long.
Honestly, second or third is the best spot.
Yeah,
truly. Like second's great because you get to see how the other comic's doing. And then you also don't have to sit through the whole show. And
you were saying, you know, I know you're saying you're fairly new to comedy, right? People tell you that it's unprofessional to take a set list on stage, and in some ways they're right. I think that it is a mastercraft of people who don't. Personally, me, I have ADHD, and
me too.
And you know, my memory is shit, and I love taking a set list on stage with me.
Ding that! Hold the bell up and ding it. Because Bree, I have yet to do a set without it, and that's a big insecurity of mine that I'm actually trying to get to a point where I can memorize everything. But again, ADHD and the memory thing, and I'm so scared of blanking.
Honestly, like the way I see it, if someone ever tells me I'm not allowed to, I won't. However, if 9 words written on a piece of paper is going to enhance my performance for myself, the crowd, for everything involved, like who fucking cares?
That's right. And you know what I noticed with you? It was a very tiny piece of paper. It was hardly noticeable.
Yeah.
Like you literally had it on a pad, and I was watching because I also have never taken a drink on stage with me because that's how uptight I am. And I noticed, I was like, oh damn, like I never once saw you look at your notes. But it's almost like the drink can act as like a focal
That's exactly
point.
What it is. So you just take a sip of your drink, and take a peek down at your next word, and that's it.
And and no one knows, and and you did amazing.
And the audience, the thing is, I get that that's how this has been run for a long time, and I get that that's what's professional. And you know, I believe the old dogs, the gatekeepers, that this is not something that you should do. And I understand it looks less professional. I really do. I get it, but also, I feel like the audience doesn't give a fuck. They don't know. Like you just said, you didn't even see me do it. Right?
I didn't even see you do it.
They don't care that I need another word to like get to my next. I truly don't think it matters, and I hope we move away from it.
Thank you. Yes.
Being so considered so unprofessional. Now we might never, and this might be bad advice that I'm telling you to do it.
I don't think it's bad advice. I think I truly think some people's minds are. They just run differently than others. I have the worst memory. I would not be shocked if like I get Alzheimer's at some point. That's how bad my memory is.
I was talking to a comic because obviously, you know, I have Winnipeg Comedy Festival coming up.
Oh, congrats! Winnipeg Comedy Fest! Fuck yeah!
Yeah, thank you. And one of the things I was talking to a fellow comedian that's going to be on the same gala as me, and I was like, the thing I'm most worried about is I always take a set list on stage, and I know I can't, right? And he was like, oh, dude, they'll just put your set list on the teleprompter.
Dream. What a dream.
I literally like, that's exactly how I felt. You know, I was like, oh, here it is, right? Like you forget that like they're going to have resources for you and that everyone kind of needs that. Like they're like, yeah, they'll put your set list up for you.
It's an insane fucking thing. Like, and anyone listening who's like, yeah, I expect no notes. Like, try doing it yourself. Like, especially if you're like a non-comic, like making this judgment on us. Like, it's not an easy thing to do to like memorize all this material. And I think you and I work the same in that it's usually just a fucking word that triggers your memory again. And all you need is to see that one word and then you're fucking good. You're like, the ship is taken off.
I would rather, as an audience member, I think I might rather see somebody look down at a square of paper and see a word than hum and ha.
Then freeze.
Yeah, you know, like I think that would be my preference as an audience member.
I feel more secure when waitress says, write my order down.
Yeah, there you go, right?
I just do. I just feel like, they got me. Yeah. I can rely on them. That's actually a great point. Yeah. It feels like you care more in a weird way. I'm pro set list. I don't, I mean, I've never done it without. So I
did my second set ever because somebody told me that I shouldn't have a set list. My second set ever, I guess like hit the ground running. Like I performed once. I loved it. So my second set was this pro show that I had no business being on. And I went out without my set list and I forgot what I was saying. I froze. And then I kind of like rapidly got off the stage and I bawled in the back of the room because I was just like, oh fuck. Like it just like, I don't have it was like a fluke that I did it this one time. But thankfully it was an all women's show that I was on and all they did was comfort me, make fun of me just slightly and sent me back out they were like, take a look at your notes, go back out on stage and finish. And that's what I did.
Oh my God, you had a Taylor Swift Beyonce moment.
They were so good to me. They're actually, I don't know if you know, Mom's Girls. They're a sketch group out of St. John's.
I'm going to look them up now.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Mom's Girls. Okay.
And so one of the members of Mom's Girls had booked me for this show. And yeah, they just like, they were like, just go back out and finish.
Well, number one, like anyone booking someone second set on a pro show. Oof.
You have to expect me to fuck up a little, but
absolutely. There should be some major grace given to you. My goodness. Well, that's very comforting to hear because I don't think
it's the end of the world.
It's a big insecurity for me. Like a huge one. And I gotta do the drink thing. I gotta bring a drink up because that gives you the reason to look down at the stool as your drink is there.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm honestly just scared that I'm gonna drink.
You want
wrong.
A real pro one? Ooh. A real pro tip is if you really don't want to bring your set list on stage, but you still need it. Are you ready for this one?
Write it on a can?
No, you take your little note and you write it up and then you stick it where the label of the beer would be. And you just hold your can of beer. And every now and then you take a glance down.
Like I'm holding it like this, but I would have to make sure that I never face that towards the audience.
I mean, they can't see. It doesn't matter, right? Just literally like I have done that on shows where it's like you can take your drink, but there's no stool. So I would
nightmare.
Take it and I would literally just stick a little thing right here on my thing. Because again, it is quite literally 9 words on a piece of paper. You know, that is all I need.
It's a guide. It's not actually notes. Yeah. It's your guide.
Yeah.
It's your syllabus.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I'm gonna try my best. Bree, so I have the rant segment, which is something that is pissing you off that you can pop off about. And it can even be dumb. A little tiny thing that maybe people do that pisses you off. Do you have a rant?
I got something that's bothering me lately. Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. Let's pop off.
All right. I think the biggest thing for me, especially in comedy right now, is that I have spent ever since I started comedy 5 years ago, I've been a producer too, right? And so I've worked really hard at that. And I think it was like a big part of the reason I have any even mild success right now is that I did produce and get to know everybody that way. And it was hard. We created a competition in Newfoundland where almost everyone in Newfoundland came out to be a part of it and competed for like $3,000 for like years in a row.
Oh, wow.
I did several different mics and pro shows and just like really put the time and effort into it. But I'm feeling like all that does is kind of put you in this weird hot seat. It puts you in this like tiny position of authority, just so much that like if anything happens, you have to be the police. You know, you have to be the police to decide who gets time and who doesn't, and you know who's problematic and who isn't. And you know, and it is just it's a really tough position. I just want to do comedy and have fun with my friends and go there and do my time and just be a comic. And I accidentally put myself in a position where that wasn't the only thing I'm responsible for.
Right.
And I'm stepping away from that now.
Fuck yeah.
And I just want to just be a comic. But it's a big decision, you know, because Newfoundland's a small place and it needs people to do the things and do the shows. And, you know, we had our Just for Laughs showcase there very recently, which was awesome.
Nice.
But like, I think that was the last thing I'm going to produce, just because it gets really toxic and you're always the problem and you can't win. You know, you have... it doesn't matter if it's like from the left or from the right. You've got you know, freedom
opinions.
of speech, people that want to say whatever they want on every show and be a part of everything, and that's fine. Do that. Again, it's a solo act. But then you've got people on the extreme left that you can't have those people involved
right
in your thing because they're problematic. And I get that, but it's like, how am I possibly the authority on this? You know, we're just trying to do our little skits and have a good time and get somewhere with this and practice so that we can leave and be bigger than just performing in Newfoundland.
My God, yes. It is such a beast to take on producing in addition to doing stand-up. And it's like, I just feel like people should take the stance of like, here's a show. This is what the show is. Either do it or don't.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, don't like bitch and complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the show just is what it is. Trust the producer. The producer, you know, like, I don't know. It's
I think like the biggest portion of it is like choosing, you deciding when someone is problematic is really tough. I don't feel like I have the authority or the power or the knowledge to decide. And like, I'm always like, I believe women. If someone says a man is problematic, I want to believe them all the time. But that gets tangly and hard to be the one in that seat that has to then,
right,
you know, control that. And
right.
It's, you know,
it shouldn't land on one person.
No,
it really should not.
But if you are a producer, it does, you know, and in such a small city like mine, like we really leave a lot of the pressure on the individual comics to create a safe space. And I think it's really important to, but it's no doubt difficult to do. Like
self-regulate. And that's how it should be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oof. Yeah. And it goes beyond like it goes beyond. It takes what could be simple, a show, a event based around something we all love, and it makes it not about that. Mm-hmm. And
I'm just sick of being the police.
The second that happens, it sucks the fun out of comedy. Mm-hmm. Both planning it and doing it.
Yeah, I just want to get booked. I don't want to book anything else.
You know what? I fucking respect that. It is to do both. It is tough to do like a regular room and then also try to focus on your. Oh man, it's just, it's a lot of work. Kudos to you for doing it, and also kudos to you for realizing it wasn't for you and stepping back. You know, because that's like a good act of self-care for yourself, and it'll just make you a better comic because now all your energy is going in. To what writing. To what matters and not other things. So kudos. Yeah, good. That's a good rant. That's a very relevant rant. I think people will like that one. So the other segment I have, so this is to prove that you're not perfect.
Okay.
So this is what's wrong with you. So you mentioned ADHD, but like what are you struggling with navigating in your life, making better? What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Well, within comedy, I think definitely, like I was saying, it's like I am so nervous all the time. I wish I could have 1 ounce of the confidence of any man in the scene. I really wish that I just didn't have such strong imposter syndrome is the biggest one for me. Like every time I get booked for something, I'm like, what am I doing on this lineup? You know, like, what am I doing here? Like, I can't just take my seat at the fucking table. And I wish I could, you know, I wish that I could just like feel like I'm getting something because I deserve it. Yeah, because I've worked hard for it. You know, I really wish that I could get there. But honestly, yeah, and I think I touched on it earlier too, like treating it like a job. Like this feels like something that while I have worked for it, it also feels somewhat like it's fallen in my lap. Like it was like, oh, this is just like a fun thing I was doing with my friends, and now all of a sudden I have to figure out how to pay my taxes as a comedian. Like, you know,
it's all the businessy, because you're self-employed. Mm-hmm. So you have to figure out what it's like to be a self-employed person, which has all these mundane details that you don't always prepare for when you're just diving into it.
There's no rule book. Nobody tells you how to do it. You know, like I did a Just for Laughs originals album, about 6 months ago or something. And so on this tax run, I have to figure out how to both get my money and pay all my taxes for that. And let me tell you, I did not do the work. Oh, because I get so like anxious about math makes me cry, finances makes me cry. Like it is just such a stressful thing to deal with.
Yes. No. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and maybe it's an ADHD thing, but I also suck at that as just a non-self-employed person. I'm like, the biggest challenge of life is just gathering the 5 forms that I need for taxes. Like, you'd think it was like going to Mordor or something for the ring. It's just like, oh, you need this, have this form filled out, and then you gotta get this one from the bank, and it's just like, why is this so hard? But it's not hard for some people.
No, I know, and my partner's a financial advisor. Like,
shit!
Like
I've had fun with those.
He has a good grasp on all of it, but I can't do it. Every part of it makes me cry. Like I just have I have no sense of like I can make that happen. You know,
money in general is such a stress. Yeah, it's so stressful.
And like I grew up so poor, so I feel like I'm so weird about my money. Like my partner wanted us to like get shared bank accounts because that's what married people do. And I was like, you know, he's a well-off man. And I'm like, no, I'll keep my $7 over here. Thank you.
Well, I hear it's good to do both. Keep your $7 over there, and then also have like that's what I hear from people is like have the joint and have your own.
Yeah, it's money's too crazy, and it's like
money is too crazy.
I feel stressed about being governed in any way that way. Like I would never want to have complete shared finances. That's so scary for me.
That's a lot of trust.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're talking flaws, what else do I got? I'm a smoker. I'm a drinker. I sleep no more than 5 hours a night and try to still sleep. Yeah, a bit of a late night gal and an early morning gal. So I don't know. Now I crash every now and then and do like a full day in bed for sure.
That's what I do too. I stockpile sleep. Yeah. Just like none, 12 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is not how you're supposed to do sleep, apparently.
No, definitely not. I definitely don't do any of that correctly.
Oh my gosh.
But, you know, listen, we're all working on it, like I said, and got this therapy thing. We'll figure it out.
And were you diagnosed with ADHD?
Yes.
Yeah.
And dyslexia at the same time.
Oh, no way.
Not till I was a grown-ass woman, though, which was interesting.
You know, those two, well, yeah, it is because women... It's very typical of women to not get diagnosed until adulthood.
Yeah, I didn't realize anything was really wrong until I was straight out of high school. I went to university for a very short period of time because I'm not a studious person. Wasn't for me. But also I was like doing these exams and I was like, oh man, like I really feel like I know this material, but people are walking out and I'm on the second page, you know? And I just like, I really couldn't wrap my head around how to test. Like it was so stressful for me.
Yeah.
And so I talked to my professor and they like put me through some testing and yeah, it turns out I'm very dyslexic and it's like you should have been having hours more time to do these exams, right? And
God damn.
But like how do you get through your entire school experience without anybody catching that, you know? And
that's wild.
It's so strange. But
and then from then on did it help? Like did they give you more time from then on?
Definitely. But school just wasn't for me and I would finished everything else at that point. So
was it I'm curious, was it reading or writing or both?
It's both. It's all of it.
It's kind of a mishmash. Yeah, that's interesting. Fuck.
I'm not very good at any of it. But you know,
yeah. But I mean, it again, you can't help it. Like it's just your brain.
And I mean, there's tricks now. Like, you know, now obviously I have like there's certain even like fonts for your computer that are better for people with dyslexia, and also just like reading. You know, you just learn the little paper trick where you pull the paper down as you read. You know, like lots of little things that are helpful, of course, that have changed my life in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's
part of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
As so
ADHD funny, my comedy notes. I'm a big like write it in the book gal. I'm not a type it in the phone person. So like I carry my notebook everywhere and I write things down. But even I have trouble reading my penmanship when I go back to like look through my comedy notes.
You like can't make sense of it.
Yeah, I'm like, God only knows what that says.
I'm curious with the font thing. So there's certain fonts.
Yeah, there are certain fonts that are programmed like to be better for people with dyslexia. They're just like further apart, or I don't know how it works, but there's it is very effective. Like the programming on my computer is, if I were to sit down and look at your computer versus mine, it's very different.
Fuck, man. And ADHD, when did that come into your life?
Again, that's something that went under my radar, and I didn't know until a similar timeline when I started going to counseling and stuff. And I think the biggest factor for me is like, being a student is so hard.
Yes.
And to focus on one thing and just sit down and do it. I don't know how anybody does it. But also it's just like not really how my brain works. So that's fine too, right? Like I'm still fascinated. I still love to learn things. I just don't learn very well out of a textbook or.
That's right. You learn a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing with ADHD people. Like we take so much in all at once that we can actually use that to our advantage. It's just not in the traditional way.
Yeah.
That like most people can learn.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Gosh. And are you medicated for that?
No, I am not. Yeah.
Freeballing it.
Yeah, I'm figuring that out. Medication, I think, is probably near in my future.
Oh.
But it's something I struggled with the stigma for a long time, I think, with medication, as we all do.
Yes.
And it wasn't until like this new therapist that I'm like figuring out depression and anxiety. I don't feel like it's something I struggled with my whole life, but I do feel like it's something I'm struggling with now, and we're just trying to figure out if it's situational or if it's if it's a forever thing. And I'm just a little embarrassingly enough because I'm so adamant on anyone taking the medication they need, but it is hard to accept that you need it yourself sometimes.
Isn't that is so true? And that's why so many people go so long without being medicated for things. And I will say, like, I also think people hype it up and they think it's just going to change as soon as you start taking it. And it's like, you got to give it a couple months, even longer sometimes. You got to try different doses. There might be certain brands that work better for you than others. Like it's such a long journey.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the other thing is like you're actually not supposed to stay on it permanently. Like really, antidepressants, they're supposed to get you well enough that you can, make better choices for yourself and find better coping skills and eventually go off of it. You're not supposed to be on it forever.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about it, to be honest. I don't know about the long-term effects or anything like that. But I've watched it work so well for so many people I love, and like, so that's changing. I think as long as we all keep talking about it, people are going to start feeling better.
That's right. Normalizing. Gotta normalize it. I love that. I love talking with a fellow ADHD girl because it's just like one of us. Like you're one of us. Love it. So okay, last segment, and then I will release you to the world. So unpopular opinion. Don't hate me for this, but it's time for unpopular opinion. So something you think that a lot of people disagree with you on, or people would go, oh, you think that? You're crazy for thinking that. Does anything come to mind?
Yeah, I think I think this one is definitely becoming more common and more talked about, but I definitely just like think I really believe in non-monogamy. I think we touched
let's do it. Let's get into it.
I think that like when I first was exposed to it, I just think if I had been taught that at a younger age, because I feel like we go through school and just like, you know, our younger lives. And we don't really learn about the different types of relationships that you can have. We only learn about your fucking basic, you know,
boyfriend, girlfriend.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And so I just think if I had been exposed to like what kinds of relationships I could have had in my life, I would have hurt a lot less people. I would have, I would have understood that you can love more than one person, that, you know, sex doesn't always equal love, and all of these different aspects of life that have taken me falling on my ass a million times to learn. Like, if we just had the exposure to that as a younger person and just like understood that those situations work and they're actually quite beautiful. Yeah. And like, I even, you know, I had a roommate, his name was Alex. He's a very lovely man. And it was just me and him. We lived together. And he got this girlfriend and she was non-monogamous. So he decided they were going to be in a polyamorous relationship. And at first I was like, oh, she's going to hurt you, babe. Like, she's going to hurt you. You know, you're not going to be her priority. And that's truly what I believed, because that's what's beaten into you. And, but I have since seen so many people in my life fucking thrive with non-monogamy. And it is, honestly, I just think there's something real beautiful about it. And if you feel like it's for you, that you should do it, because it's, you know, you have a little bit of unlearning to do in certain scenarios because we're humans, we're jealous, and you know, it's different things have been beat into us over the years of what a relationship is supposed to look like. But you make up the rules. You make up your own path. And if you think that could work for you.
I also love that you use the term non-monogamy and not polyamory, because my whole thing is polyamory is not for everybody, but there's a lot of fucking people who are putting themselves in monogamous relationships and they are very much so not a monogamous person. Mm-hmm. And that's when cheating happens. And that's when heartbreak happens. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if these people would just realize you don't have to be in a relationship. You could just be
as long as you are honest.
Yeah, honest with everyone.
As long as you're honest, I feel like you can do anything. And that took me a long time to learn, that there wasn't something wrong with me. You know, that I honestly I have cheated in my lifetime, mm-hmm. and I carry that guilt every single day of my life. You know, it was someone I loved, and I was so confused about how could I be such a bad person? How could I have been such a bad person to hurt someone I love just for sex? You know, and it took me so long to learn that sex doesn't equal love, and I still, you know, am working through forgiving myself for that. But like, I think if I had been more aware of the options of the lifestyles, that I could have, you know, not been carrying this weight around with me all these years.
And a lot of people could rid themselves of guilt and make better decisions.
Yeah. Well, and just not hurt other people. It's not just about me carrying the guilt. Like you know, in some ways I feel like guilt is necessary. You know, it doesn't let me away with the bad things I do, but you might not have been a bad thing to do in the first place if you could understand non-monogamy at a young age.
And if you had set it up for yourself in that way. Mm-hmm. It is just, it's shocking to me how some people still reject it, where it's like, you've cheated on a lot of people. Like, maybe just give this a try.
Yeah, you know,
and maybe you'd have less hurt and less like bad past relationships kind of thing. I'm demisexual. So
I actually don't know what that means.
Oh, you don't?
No.
So demi is essentially like you need like emotional connection to be like sexually attracted, which is interesting because there's a lot of people who are both demi and poly. And I don't know how I would get anything done. If I did that, like it takes a lot for me to be sexually attracted. It doesn't necessarily mean like you have to be in love with everyone, but like I need more than just a like, you're hot at the bar, let's go home. Like
I just want to make out with everyone all the time. Yeah.
See?
A little different. Yeah.
But like for me, I'm like, I want to plan our wedding now.
Right.
Like I'm like, and it took me a while. I think there was a time in my life that I wasn't demi, but like it has shifted over time. Where
and I mean, your priorities change too, right?
It does. Like,
not to take away from the sexuality of it, but
it does for sure. Because like I haven't been in a relationship in 10 years, mm-hmm. so like I'm craving that,
right?
So it would make sense that like I would just generally want a more.
I am
emotional
like addicted
connection.
to love.
Girl.
I love love. I love other people being in love. I love being in love. There's something about it. Like and you know, in many ways that has made me be in relationship after relationship. I love falling in love. You know, I love being a partner. Like it is such a beautiful, beautiful thing for me. And I've always kind of been obsessed with it. So I truly do understand your idea of like, oh, I'd get nothing done because I don't get anything done. Like I like just become so overwhelmingly obsessed with everyone. Like, all the
interesting.
time.
Have you ever looked into love addiction?
I've heard of it. Yes, I've heard of it.
Oh shit! I'm a love addict, and then people go, "That doesn't make sense. You haven't had a relationship in so long." And I go, you don't need that to be a love addict. It is like this all oh man, I can't say that word. It's this like overwhelming, like it just takes you over, and you do get very attached. And like I will love someone very hard for years, and it will take me years to get over somebody. And then I recently got over someone, and I have not been horny in like a year.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Like it happens, but it happens like on with my cycle, like because biologically I have to be horny.
I feel like I even feel like that level of love for my friends though. Like I was saying, like I just have this. I have this
you
core
like connection
group. Oh yeah, I love connection. That's exactly it. Like I value all of the people in my life so much that like I think I even give just the same level of love to them, you know? So like that, maybe I am a love addict.
No, actually, I don't think you are. Well, I mean, it depends. Like I'll send you the link. There's 12 signs. The one that.
Oh, you do believe in self-therapy, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, girl. I'm big into this. But the 12, when I read the 12 signs, I was like, oh, I really identify with these. The one that stuck out to me was like you might not be a love addict because obviously like you seem very happy and these seem like very healthy relationships for you. With love addicts, it's like, it's almost like a codependency thing. The one that stuck out to me that really made me go, oh my God, yes. It was like we assign magical qualities to other people. And then we get mad when they don't follow through in them.
Oh, just like high expectations.
So like idealizing.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you're just like the idealized person that's all you see and you don't see. And that's like why love addicts stay in bad relationships. And they're always fighting with their partners or they're, you know, like it's this like, it's just very unhealthy. So I would say if you're someone who identifies with that statement, look into the 12 symptoms 12 signs that you might be a love addict because it's hell. It's not fun.
Interesting. No, I have to say I'm very lucky. Mine's all positive. So
I love that.
Yeah, it is.
You're a healthy love addict.
You're But my biggest toxic trait with that situation is that like I could literally never be alone again. You could sit next to me and read a book while I take a bath. You could never leave my house again. I could have all my friends in my space 100% of the time. I don't need time to recharge away from people.
Oh, so you're a true extrovert.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I like to like be quiet sometimes, but like be quiet with me, lay with me. Like, you know, like I don't need space away from people as long as they're not people that like take from my energy. There's some people that I'm, you know, that are just exhausting to be around, and that's.
So in therapy, did you ever talk about attachment styles?
No, not yet. I'll get there.
Because you might be like a securely attached person who relationships are just easy for you.
I have no idea, but like, I will like, it is nothing for like my friends to literally probably spend the entire weekend in my home.
Wow.
And it just doesn't bother me. Like oh
my God. One of the assumptions I almost wrote down for you was I can picture you being, this is so weird. I need a compilation of Sarah making it weird. I was just like, I just picture you as like the friend that like would change in front of people.
Oh, definitely. Big time. In fact, I forget it makes people uncomfortable. I have to like, I'm at a point finally where I'm like, oh yeah, you should always ask. Don't just like whip your tits out.
But like, that's like, I had a long time ago two podcast guests that were the same way. And like after the podcast, it just became this like party of like trying on each other's clothes. And I was just like, oh my God, like that's not me, but that's you. And I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. I don't know. I never even think twice about it. And then my partner, he was like in theater all growing up. So like that is just like you're all changing in front of you each other all the time with like costume changes and stuff. So he's very exposed to it too. So we all get ready at my house to go out for every weekend. And everyone is just literally, trying
that's
on
how
everything.
I pictured it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Because I looked through your Instagram and I was like you seem like you have like a good girl gang of like.
Oh, I do.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, they're so wonderful.
And are you all in the same vicinity? Or are there some people kind of like scattered?
Well, I mean, I definitely am lucky enough to have friends all over, but in St. John's, we have like a really core group. We actually call ourselves the 709 Sad Boys Club.
The 709 Sad Boys Club.
And
why sad boys?
I think, we're all depressed. That's probably it. But no, we do well together, but like it's, we're just so lucky. We just get to spend all this time together. I feel like I never get sick of them. I could literally just spend every day with them.
That's so nice. Yeah. So you're like a true people person.
I would say so. Yeah.
Do people ever piss you off?
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, I'm human. I'm a human being. People piss me off. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have things that are triggering. Like I think definitely just like respect of space. I know I said I could have anyone around all the time, but like strangers, like if like strangers get really in your space, you
shouldn't overstep.
Yeah.
Cause I think when you say like I'm comfortable with people, I have people around all the time. It's like some people might see that as like, you don't have boundaries, but you do. Mm. Like
I actually think they might be right. I think I have to learn.
Really?
I have to learn other people's boundaries because I feel like I have none. Like I had my girlfriends, we all lived together for a long time, many years. And they have very clear boundaries that they had to teach me because like I would just like, they'd be in their room and I'd just like go on in and like curl up with them and be like, how was your day?
Right.
And they had to be like, oh, well, if my door's closed, that means I am like having private time, which like any person should realize, but not me. You know what I mean? I'm the mom that like knocks while I'm on the way in the door. Like I just like, I never needed it. So I was taught it. I was taught those boundaries by my close friends.
But maybe your boundaries are just a little more unseen.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to dig to find them, but I have no idea where they are.
So where's Waldo of your boundaries?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure they're there, but you could be someone who's, again, securely attached. I'd be interested to know what you dig into with the therapy stuff. Like, cause once you figure out attachment stuff, you think of things very differently. Like I'm a very anxious attached person. I'm just like, don't leave me ever. Like I'm like, and it's, but you seem good. Like maybe you're secure.
Maybe, who knows?
Securely
maybe I'm
attached.
Healthy after all.
An actual securely attached comedian. I never thought I would see the day.
Well, listen, I'll do a few more years of therapy and then you'll have me on again and we'll see where I'm at.
We'll do a follow-up episode.
Yeah,
but like, I'm very proud of you for being in therapy and being open about it and like doing the self-work despite having like, you have a lot of healthy relationships. I think a lot of times people go into therapy because they don't. And they think they can skip that, but you're in it and you're still learning and good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's great. Fuck yeah.
Oh, it's been so nice to spend time with you.
Yeah, this was, I feel like I got a crash course in Brie. Not the cheese, you. You must get that so much.
That first time I ever heard that one.
That must be so like Brie the cheese. That must be the worst.
So many greasy old men on the airplanes would just be like, do you taste like the cheese? And I'm like,
oh God.
Oh, big time.
Oh my gosh. Ew. Oh my Lord. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I want to turn it over to you and give you the chance to like mention what you want to promote. Where can people find you? Potentially come see you at a show. Yeah, listeners all over Canada, so you never know.
Nice. Okay, yeah. Well, coming up next month, I'm going to be in the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, and I'm going to be in the Debaters.
Oh my God, that's so awesome!
Yeah, so that's going to be really exciting.
Did you do it yet?
No, this will be my first time.
No way.
Yeah.
Do you know what your topic is?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But you have the prep time though.
Yeah.
That's, oh my God, that'll be so fun.
Yeah, it feels really exciting because, I grew up listening to it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. That
feels really cool.
That's huge.
Yeah, so that's for my next couple of months.
Winnipeg Comedy Fest, debaters. Where can people find you on the socials? Can people follow you?
Yeah, on Instagram and Facebook, I am Bree Parsons Comedy.
Bree Parsons Comedy. You're a delight. You're so funny too. Like, I'm very glad to have met you. And yes, please come back on so we can dive more into all these subjects that we covered today. Because we got a good overview of you.
Yeah.
It's like an audio overview.
You're good at hauling it out. I don't know how my husband's going to feel about this one.
Oh my goodness. This has been so interesting. And thank you so much for coming on. This has been Intoxicated Podcast, guys. We'll see you next Friday. And Bree, you get to ring the bell. That's the battle cry. We're done. Thank you for listening to the Intoxicated Podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode, make sure you subscribe on whatever podcast app you use and leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. You can also give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Intoxicated Podcast and check out our video episodes on the Intoxicated YouTube channel. Until next week, feel hard and talk hard. Intoxicated Podcast is hosted and produced by Sarah McClellan, co-produced by Sarah Nicole, and brought to you by the messiness of life.
Oh, everybody's depressed. Next subject.